So once again, you're welcome to the semifinals. It's been quite a journey to this point, and I congratulate the teams that were able to um, make it to this point. We have today Team Sapphire, Team Oink. We have four teams competing for competing in this segment of the competition with 2 rounds. So to begin today, I can see to begin to begin today we have Team Sapphire and Team Oink. And okay, I I just noticed one of my judges is not yet here. Let me know why. Let me just um,
Hi, Ruth. So sorry, you're muted.
okay. Sorry, I did not realize that. Okay, I said I am Roots Sorenadi by way of introduction, the head of legal research and impact of Honorable Justice Innocent Umezulike Foundation, and I am the moderator for this national debates semifinals. And I have here with me my distinguished Georges. I have Mrs. Joy Godwin of Leap Africa. I have Barrister Chile Onyejelam, and I also have Barrister IK Godwin that will soon join us um, shortly. All right, so for today, we have 2 rounds comprising of 4 teams, and I, okay, 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 I'm just giving a minute for the third judge to connect. So for the first round of this debate competition with Team Sapphire, okay, with Team Sapphire and Onyx. I hope I got that pronunciation well. I've listened to that pronunciation, but it just doesn't seem to sink. Okay, Barrister Ike, you're welcome. It's good to have you. So for round two that we're going to start with, which will be round one between Team Sapphire and Team Oins, the topic of the debate is: should Nigeria prioritize upgrading its electricity transmission grid to accommodate solar energy integration, despite the estimated cost of at least $1.2 billion, or should the country allocate resources to other pressing priorities? All right, so we have Team Sapphire for the proposition and Team Oins for the opposition. And just by way of recap, you have 5 minutes for your first speaker. For the first speakers, you have 3 minutes for the second, and then 1 minute to crystallize your round. So the floor is now open to the first speaker for the parliament of Team Sapphire to do justice to the topic. Team Sapphire.
Good day, Mr. Speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I want to confirm that you can see me as well.
Yes, we can see you.
All right, thank you. Good day, Mr. Speaker. I am a member of Team Sapphire and the Prime Minister leading the proposition in this debate. I shall be arguing in support of the motion that this House believes that Nigeria should prioritize upgrading its electricity transmission grid in order to accommodate solar energy integration, despite the estimated cost of $1.2 billion, rather than allocating its resources to other pressing priorities. If you are a Nigerian going through any average Nigerian community, there is one thing you can count on that is going to be constant wherever you are. The fact that all Nigerians, everybody will shout up NEPA whenever power supply is restored. Nobody celebrates things that are commonplace or things that we see every day. Nobody, for instance, will celebrate seeing a vehicle on the road because vehicles traverse the road every day, every time. But I imagine that when the first vehicle was driven in Nigeria, there must have been joyful and gleeful celebration. Nigeria is an entity that existed since 1914. Yet, since that time, electricity supply is such a novel and uncommon experience that Nigerians still joyfully shout and celebrate with off NEPA anytime power supply is restored. Imagine a future where electricity supply is so constant and reliable that no Nigerian will have to shout off NEPA anytime there is power supply. That future can only be made possible where Nigeria upgrades its grid and integrates solar energy. When such is done, power supply will be reliable. Blackouts and brownouts are frequent occurrences in Nigeria. But if there is an upgrade that integrates solar energy, this will not be the case, and there will be no disruption of business and everyday life. Secondly, unemployment and poverty are two pressing problems besetting Nigeria. Unemployment and poverty are like twins that go hand in hand. Nigerians don't have gainful employment, and because they don't have gainful employment, they live poor lives. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, 88.4 million Nigerians in the year 2023 were living in extreme poverty. Upgrading the electricity grid is like using one stone to kill two birds. Not only does it ensure that there's going to be reliable power supply, it also ensures that there's going to be economic benefits that can tackle the problem of unemployment and poverty. If the electricity grid is upgraded to accommodate solar energy integration, it's going to lead to creation of jobs, both in the short term through the construction and installation, and in the long term through operation and maintenance of the new infrastructure. Furthermore, you can imagine the manpower required for such a huge national project as this. We're talking about employment for hundreds of thousands of Nigerians, possibly even millions. And where there's improved electricity supply, it's going to attract new businesses and new investment to the country. It is also going to make it easier for existing businesses to operate and to grow. Thirdly, upgrading the grid will ensure that there is improved access to healthcare. Speaking of pressing priorities and pressing issues, what issues could be more pressing than saving the lives of Nigeria and improving the good health of Nigerian citizens? Health facilities need electricity to operate. You cannot imagine a hospital without electricity. The lives of people literally hang in a balance whenever they need machines such as oxygen concentrators, medical monitors, or even incubators for their treatment, and they cannot access these machines due to lack of electricity supply. If the grid is upgraded, there's going to be reliable and constant electricity supply, which means that lives will be saved. Furthermore, air pollution is one hazard that is faced due to power plant operations in Nigeria. According to State of Global Air, which is an international medical association concerned with raising awareness about the dangers of air pollution is one of the fourth leading factors of mortality in Nigeria, costing the lives of thousands of Nigerians each year. Another health hazard that accompanies irregular electricity supply is the use of generators. When there is no power supply, Nigerians use generators in order to power their businesses and their daily lives. You can imagine the noise that accompanies it. Imagine a whole compound where all families are using generators. This causes noise pollution, and medical science has shown that noise pollution has adverse effects on the health, including lack of sleep and disturbing the cardiovascular rhythm. Furthermore, it causes people to get easily upset and irritated. It is no wonder that Nigerians get annoyed easily and are prone to displaying some crazy behaviors. Mr. Speaker, I hope that on the strength of these enumerated points, this House will agree with me that Nigeria should prioritize upgrading its electricity grid to accommodate solar energy integration rather than focusing its resources on other pressing priorities. Thank you.
Okay, I just realized also that I was muted. We just heard from the first speaker for the proposition, Team Sapphire. Now we're going to hear from the first speaker for the opposition, Team On.
Okay. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
The House panel, my name is Golden Kali Zarifa, and I'm here to oppose the motion that Nigeria should prioritize its electricity transmission to accommodate solar energy. Rather, Nigeria should allocate resources to other pressing priorities. I'll begin with this quote by John Delaney. We have to start grounding our policies in facts and recognize that a strong economy is critical for funding progressive priorities. I'll be basing my argument in 3 points: indebtedness, insecurity, and underdevelopment of the health and education sector. For indebtedness, according to the Debt Management Agency, as of September 2023, Nigeria was currently 87.91 trillion naira debt. That is over $100 billion. And having that much debt, we should invest in things that can build our economy and boost our economical capacity in Nigeria. Investing in the solar energy right now is not our priority, as it will even increase our debt, and we don't even know if these funds would be used for this purpose or be siphoned. Also, the problem of insecurity. According to Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended, it provides that the primary purpose of the government is to provide security first and welfare for the people. Imagine a situation whereby there is power in the society, where there's proper electricity. However, people are running helter-skelter to find shelter. People are not safe. People are afraid of their lives. That is wrong. We should allocate our resources more in solving these insecurity issues by addressing the root causes of this insecurity, such as unemployment and poverty and other factors too. According to the World Bank, Nigeria is even has the second largest population of poor people after India. We should address these pressing priorities rather than focusing on solar energy right now. Under development of our health and education sector,
Am I the only one that can no longer hear her?
No, you're not. I can't hear her either.
No, you're not. Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay.
our education area, we should invest in our education so that more people would be knowledgeable on this. We should have courses on solar energy in our educational institutions so that people would have knowledge on things like this before we can even invest in solar energy transmission in Nigeria. I'll end with this quote by Narendra Modi. Society and government should together give priority to the poorest of poor and make efforts to provide affordable health services. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the first speaker for the opposition. Now we're going to hear from the first speaker that's the opposition, Team Oings. We're going to hear from the second speaker for the proposition, Team Sapphire.
Barrister Ruth, sorry, before you continue, while she was frozen, was she also talking then? Was she making some points? Did she realize she was frozen so she doesn't give the impression that she was talking and we didn't get her?
Okay, Sim Oins, were you aware that you were frozen? That we couldn't hear you at some point? Okay, so we couldn't hear you at some point. So we're going to start the timer again, 5 minutes. And because if you are not aware that you were frozen, that means you would not even know at what point. So we're going to give you okay, we're going to give you 5 minutes to just do that's recap what you just said.
Thank you.
The interest of fairness. All right, you can go ahead.
The House panel. My name is Golden Kalizarifa, the chief speaker for the opposing side. And I'm here to oppose the motion that Nigeria should prioritize its electricity transmission to accommodate solar energy. Rather, Nigeria should allocate resources to other pressing priorities. I'll begin with this quote by John Delaney, which states, "We have to start grounding our policies in facts and recognize that a strong economy is critical for funding progressive priorities." I'll be basing my argument using 3 points: indebtedness, insecurity, and underdevelopment of the health and education sector. Indebtedness. As at September 2023, according to the National Management Agency, Nigeria was currently in 87.91 trillion naira debt. That is over 100 billion. That's over $100 billion that we were in debt. So why should we invest more money into our economy when we have not even when we still have debt lying in our economy? We want to invest $1.2 billion on solar energy. We don't know how it will work out. It might even be siphoned. So we should not do this because of the current debts we are in. Increasing the debts we have in this country would also increase the cost of living and reduce the standard of living of the citizens. And the primary duty of the government is to provide welfare for the people, according to Section 14, subsection 2B. Also, according to Section 14, subsection 2B, I'll be going to my second point, which is insecurity. Insecurity is a major problem in Nigeria currently. And as the proposition stated, yes, unemployment and poverty are root causes of this insecurity. And that is why they should be tackled first, even before addressing the issue of electricity. These are other pressing priorities that we have right now in this country.
Is she frozen again, or is this my network?
The issue of
Largest four countries.
So, Tim, we stopped hearing you. So, you can go on now.
Okay, thank you. The problem of insecurity. The root causes of insecurity are poverty and unemployment, like even my proposition mentioned earlier. So we should tackle these issues first. These are pressing priorities that we have, and we should tackle these problems first rather than addressing electricity issue. According to the World Bank, Nigeria is the second largest poor country after India. And if we have such a high number of poor people, that is why we should address these issues first rather than addressing the issue of electricity. We should solve our poverty issues and we should solve our unemployment issues by creating more opportunities for them. Underdevelopment of the education and health sector. Our education sector is very underdeveloped at this point, as we even have little local research and development activities related to solar energy in Nigeria. Only one company, that's the Exide Batteries Nigeria Limited, produces batteries that are used for photovoltaic solar systems. So how do we even want to implement and integrate this solar energy into our electricity transmission when we don't even have people to manage it? We should invest more in the educational sector where people would learn more about solar energy. Our institutions should have courses training people on solar energy. So by doing that, it would help, and maybe later we can now properly integrate solar energy into our country economy. I would end with this quote by Narendra Modi. Society and government should together give priority to the poorest of poor and make efforts to provide affordable health care. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the first speaker for the opposition, Tim Oins. All right, now we would be hearing from the second speaker for the proposition, Tim Sapphire.
Hello, good morning. Please, can I be heard?
Yes, you're being heard.
And can I be seen as well?
Yes, we can see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I will continue.
We can't hear you. You Simsafa, you're muted.
Good
So
morning.
we're
Can you hear
going
me
to
now?
start. Yes, we can hear you. So start again.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I am going to continue the case for the proposition. Mr. Speaker, the major argument canvassed by the opposition is that there is poor economy in Nigeria. Also, there is high rate of poverty as well as lack of education in the country. And because of this, the government should not prioritize incorporating solar energy into our electricity transmission. Mr. Speaker, I need to remind this, as earlier proposed by the Prime Minister, that a lot of businesses have shut down in Nigeria due to lack of power supply. Just recently, KB News reported that a lot of businesses in Bayelsa have shut down due to lack of power supply. More so, as regards poverty and education, Mr. Speaker, one of the goals of Nigeria, as it was agreed during the Paris Climate Conference, is to ensure that the country is green energy efficient. What does this mean? This means that green energy will update climate crisis. Mr. Speaker, climate change is reported to be a plague that is causing chaos across the globe, and this has led to deforestation, flooding, as well as erosion across countries in the world. Mr. Speaker, the UN reported in 2022 that over 600 people have died. Also, 200 houses have been flooded, as well as 2.5 million persons that were dislocated due to flooding in Nigeria alone. Mr. Speaker, imagine a space whereby businesses are around and people are trying to beat down poverty. However, due to flooding, their businesses are being shut down over again. This leads us back to our first problem, which is poor economy. Mr. Speaker, if the government should invest in solar energy, our economy will be boosted because there will be enough power supply for businesses to run. Also, there will not be flooding that will quench businesses of people, thereby causing more poverty, as well as flooding our schools, leading to lack of education. Moving forward, Mr. Speaker, another point I want this House to take note is that Nigeria subsidizes electricity supply. And Mr. Speaker, drawing from our experience with petrol subsidy, it doesn't speak well of us to be subsidizing electricity again. And according to Nigerian Regulatory Electricity Commission, Nigeria is going to be consuming 47,000 megawatts of electricity by 2030. And this is in opposition to 17,000 that was consumed in 2020. Mr. Speaker, by the time the government removes subsidy on electricity, it will create hardship on Nigerians, just as the petrol subsidy removal has caused. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, most countries in the world have now tilted towards solar energy and other renewable energies. For example, Morocco has the largest solar farm in the world. Also, Kenya has the largest wind power house in Africa. Mr. Speaker, the adoption of solar energy as well as other renewable energies presupposes that it is efficient and it is worth doing. On this point, I urge this honorable house to hold our motion. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the second speaker for the opposition, for the proposition, Tim Sapphire. Now we're going to hear the second speaker for the opposition, that's Tim Oins.
Sorry, am I being seen?
Yes, we can see you.
Sorry, could you also hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Mr. Speaker, judges, as per Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he says, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. I want this house today to embrace this courage as we look at where our nation's scarce resources should be allocated to. Currently, the topic before the House is that our nation's scarce resources should be allocated or diversified into creating a solar energy system with an estimated cost of 1.2 billion US dollars. A cost which currently we all know would lead the country into further and more debt. I'm here to tell the House that we do not need to diversify into solar energy because it is a known fact that our country, Nigeria, even supplies Niger Republic, another country which do not provide us value in any way, constant, steady electricity supply. If we have the capabilities to do this for another country, why then do we as a country need to diversify? Instead, we should just stop or outrightly reduce the amount of power being supplied to Niger Republic and redirect it into our system here in Nigeria. Also, in the aspect of security, security generally doesn't just mean the safety of the people, but also the safety of the people's person. In the social contract, as known by the social contract entered by the people and the government, the people hand over their, and as it is well known, the middle belt, which is arguably the food basket of the nation, is very well plagued by insecurity through banditry or terror, or even terroristical attacks. This way, the country can barely provide food for all its citizens because its main farm base or its main food basket barely can produce food. So the country should, instead of diversifying into solar energy, instead diversify into provision of proper security apparatuses or security outfits to keep the people in the middle belt secure. Also, on the issue of transportation, instead of diversifying 1.2 billion US dollars into transportation, into solar energy, the country should diversify that amount of money into proper and adequate transportation, because where there is proper and adequate
Okay.
in the country of over 200 million
Your
people who need. Thank you.
your time is up, Sim Oink speaker. And at some point towards the end of your presentation, we stopped hearing you. I can also see another Tim Oink here. I don't know if you can communicate that to him. Okay. All right. That was the second speaker for Tim Oinks. Now to crystallize this round, we we're going to hear in 1 minute from Tim Sapphire.
Mr. Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I be heard, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good day once again, Mr. Speaker. I shall crystallize the position of the proposition team on this motion by restating the points of our argument. It is our firm belief that Nigeria should prioritize the upgrade of its grid, regardless of the cost, because doing so would ensure that power supply becomes constant and reliable in Nigeria. Secondly, doing so comes with a lot of economic benefits that can tackle the problems of poverty and unemployment. Thirdly, doing so will improve access to healthcare in Nigeria. Furthermore, doing so will also take away the burden of subsidizing electricity from the government of Nigeria without causing undue suffering to the Nigerian citizens. And lastly, doing so is realistic, seeing as other countries have adopted it, which means it is the best use and best practice suitable for Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you, Tim Sapphire. Now we're going to, in 1 minute, hear from Tim Oinks as they crystallize this round.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Tim Owens believes that there are alternatives to this solar energy integration. Rather than integrating this solar energy, we can educate people. Still on this education point, we're talking about investing more in our education sector in the sense that when more people are educated, even other methods or other solutions to electricity issues can be addressed and can also be developed. The issue of gas flaring. Data from the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency indicated that oil companies in Nigeria flared gas worth over $1 billion from January 2022 to August 2023, resulting in a financial loss of 843 billion naira. So optimizing process of obtaining crude oil so we do not have to flare gas and use this gas we have to generate electricity would also be a solution rather than integrating solar energy. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to Team Sapphire and Team Oink for the first round of the semi-finals of the HJIUF National Debate Competition. We'll leave feedback from the judges and observers till the end the of this stage of the competition. I can see Barrister Wala yourself. You're welcome, ma. Good to have you here. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ruth.
All right, ma. All right, so we'll go into the second round of the semifinals between Team Topaz and Team Beryl, and they are debating on a topic. This house believes that the EU ACP agreement, the Samoa agreement, is beneficial for Nigeria to sign. So as usual, we know the rules. 5 minutes for the proposition. The first speaker for the first speakers for both the proposition and opposition. 3 minutes for the second speakers, and then 1 minute to crystallize the round. So I would have Team Topaz have their turn at this debate in the next 5 minutes.
Right. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. But you have to shout because your voice is sounding faint. So your network.
Brother in Nigeria, with big dreams of losses and infrastructure.
Hello, Team Topaz. Team Topaz, please start again. Start again. We did not get your introduction.
All right. Chioma, a skilled artisan from Nigeria, despite creating beautiful artifacts, a business yet for an international market. Ibrahim, a tech brother in Nigeria with big dreams of launching a tech startup. However, limited resources and infrastructure holds him back. Ade, a farmer in Nigeria, faces challenges due to the unfavorable weather conditions and limited market access. 3 different issues with one solution, which is the Semwa Agreement. Panel, the House. My name is Ogunkile Olamijulo, the Chief Speaker of the government side, and I'll be supporting the proposition that this House believes that it is beneficial for Nigeria to sign the European Union and African Caribbean Pacific Agreement, also known as the Semwa Agreement. The Semwa Agreement is simply a renewed partnership between the European Union and countries of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific region that focuses on 6 major standpoints. First, human rights, democracy, and governance. Second, peace and security. Peace, security, human and social development. Third, inclusive, sustainable economic growth and development. Fourth, environmental sustainability and climate change. And lastly, migration and mobility to foster globalization. The government side is supporting this motion, reiterating or focusing on 3 standpoints. First, what does this agreement entail? Second, why did Nigeria sign this agreement? And third, what are the benefits of this agreement in Nigeria? To the first standpoint, what does this agreement entail? The Semo Agreement serves as the legal framework between 15 states in the European Union and approximately 79 states in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. It was designed to promote trade and development amongst member states. It was signed on the 15th of November 2023 and came into force on the 1st of January 2024. However, Nigeria hasn't signed the agreement. It is key to note that this form of agreement between two parties isn't a newborn initiative. It was created as far back as the 1953 Yaoundé Convention, the 1975 Lome Convention, and then the year 2000 Cotonou Agreement, which Nigeria largely benefited from, which birthed the 2023 Temao Agreement, which hasn't been signed by Nigeria. Signing this agreement is simply a matter of continuity and fostering bilateral relations that have been existing in Nigeria. In a first statement by the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the 16th of November 2023, the government said relevant stakeholders are currently scrutinizing the agreement to ensure that its provisions align with Nigerian domestic legislation. That was 5 months ago. And even now, there is no progress or signature. Therefore, we plead with the All Progressive Congress to let Nigeria progress. This is the second question. Why should the Nigerian government sign the agreement? First and foremost, signing the agreement will attract foreign, will enhance globalization and regional integration. The new agreement seeks to foster closer economic and political cooperation with other African, Caribbean, and Pacific nations, amongst many others. It is pertinent to note that under the Cotonou Agreement, which is the previous one, Nigeria failed to adopt economic partnership agreements due to the obligations attached. However, this is a new dawn, an opportunity for Nigeria to promote its interests in the global world. Furthermore, signing the agreement will enhance and attract foreign investments to Nigeria. The Semo Agreement fosters a more conducive environment for attracting foreign direct investment to Nigeria from the European Union. It showcases the meeting of mind amongst others. Imagine the possibilities that will follow. According to a new report by Anshot on the 1st of February 2024, it reveals that the European Union plans to invest about 150 billion euros in Africa between 2021 and 2027 What better way to attract the agreement to help Nigeria to strengthen our economy? According to the World Poverty Club, a tool used to track poverty worldwide, there are 71 million extremely poor Nigerians as about 2023. With the Samoa Agreement, Nigeria should be given access to foreign markets. Our local industries will be able to partner and compete with foreign industries to provide jobs for the unemployed, ultimately reducing the rate of poverty. Why then do we deprive the country of the numerous benefits it will attract from international partnerships? Millions of Nigerians, like Kioma, Ibrahim, and again, as I mentioned at the start of the debate, are counting on us to resolve this issue with a simple signature. Panel of judges. The support speaker for the government side will crystallize our debate round by examining the various benefits of the Samoa Agreement to Nigeria. Thank you.
Barrister Ruth, I think you're muted.
Okay. You can hear me now. All right. That was the first speaker for the proposition, Team Topaz. We're going to hear from the first speaker for the opposition, Team Burial. So, Team Burial.
If you've ever watched a Nollywood movie, you would agree with me that when the antagonist wife wants to kill her husband, she wouldn't give him a bottle of poison to drink. She'd make his favorite meal and lace it with poison. The unsuspecting husband would see the sweetness and it would blind his eyes to the potential danger. By the time he eats out of that plate and he figures out the danger, it's already too late. Members of the House, I am Oladipupo Ramadan Olalikun, the leader of opposition. And this opposition strongly believes that signing the Samoa Agreement is not going to be beneficial for Nigeria. We are going to be establishing why we believe this in this argument. But before I do that, I need to address some of the errors that the Prime Minister had made. The Prime Minister suggested that signing the Samoa Trade Agreement was going to help us with infrastructure. But that is rather untrue, because as it was published by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group in 2023, infrastructure investment received scant attention in the draft agreement. This meant some of the best economists in Nigeria sat down and took the burden of reading through the entire agreement. And from this, they were able to deduce that infrastructure did not exactly receive so much attention. So, the claim that signing this agreement is going to foster our infrastructure is a logical fallacy rather than one that has been proven by fact. In addition, my opponent suggested that signing this agreement is going to attract foreign investors. But you see, in a stable economy, attracting foreign investment might be a great idea. But considering the fact that our economy is not exactly the most stable, this might not be the best thing for us to do. Now, let's look at this. When we signed this trade agreement, we have allowed for free trade, meaning European organizations can come into our market and compete with our local organizations. But this could quickly become a problem. One thing that these European organizations have that we do not exactly have so much at our disposal is money. I mean, Mama Chidema, who is selling Zobo out of our fridge, cannot compete with Coca-Cola. These industries would come into our market, flood our market, push our local competitors out of the market, and this will give them economic colonization, which is not something we want. Now, moving on to our argument, I'm going to talk about social unrest and political instability that could come across when we sign this agreement. Signing this agreement means that we will allow certain policies of this agreement supersede national laws, and this completely disrespects what the Constitution stands for. Now, in Europe, it was recently reported that a teacher in Europe was fired from an all-girls school. He had just concluded a test, and he simply said, "You did a great job, girls," and that cost him his job. Because the Europeans believed that he infringed on the right of a student who was rather confused of what gender she was, and he lost his job. Signing this agreement means certain policies might have the LGBTQ plus representation, that might have the LGBTQ plus representation, means that we would allow this supersede our national law that goes against homosexuality. This could quickly cause social unrest and political instability. And this is definitely not something we want, considering the fact that our economic stability is not the best to write home about. In addition, on the 20th of March 2007, the Oxfam International Organization published a report that stated that EU-African trade deals have resulted in unequal benefits. It's not a very good idea to sign an agreement that we're not exactly certain would benefit us. You see, when we sign this agreement, we have to understand that it's a 20-year agreement, meaning we'd be bound to this agreement for 20 straight years, and establishing that this can affect our economy, cause social unrest, and political instability, we should not exactly be walking into something that would tie us to these problems for 20 years. A wise man would not see a pit and run into it. And an even wiser man would not see a pit that would trap him in there for 20 years and walk into it. And that is another reason why the opposition is stating we should not sign this trade agreement. In addition, once we have signed this agreement, we have to understand that we'll be bound to it for 20 years. So when other trade agreements that might be more beneficial to us come into play, we can't exactly enjoy the benefits. Trade agreement is clubbing us with 78 other countries that compromise the ACP. We have lost our bargaining power, and we are now binded to this one-size-fits-all approach, which isn't exactly what we want. In addition, we have to understand that this trade agreement has lofty goals. We have a lot of problems that's plaguing the country: insecurity, poverty, and we've established that this trade agreement is not exactly going to fix our problems. Rather, it's going to give these people economic control over our region, which is what they want. This is it. The European Union wants a case of new colonization. Because they know that we're not stupid enough to allow them simply come in and achieve this, they hide it under the table.
All right, thank you. That was the first speaker. That was the first speaker for the opposition. Timberry. to hear from the second speaker of the proposition, Team Top.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
If dollar rate soars, I the price of goods skyrocket. The economy tears out on the borderline of a destructive inflation. Local businesses languish, crying out for a lifeline, clamoring for a solution. Alas, far on the horizon emerges the EU ACP agreement, a transformative force heralding a new dawn for prosperity and progress. Panel, the House. My name is Ajola Ifeoluwa, here to further lay credence to first speaker's proposition and to frame the assertion that it is beneficial for Nigeria to sign the European Union, African, Caribbean, and Pacific Samoa Agreement by examining the third standpoint of the government's argument. To begin with, this agreement will clearly open doors for more European Union development programs and initiatives benefiting multiple ACP states, Nigeria inclusive, and further aiding economic growth and development for specific regions within the ACP. For example, the European Union has provided 580 million euros to fund projects that reinforce its bilateral cooperation with Nigeria. This is only for just 2021 to 2024. So imagine who will be losing out if there is just a slight break in smooth international relations between us. Let us be wise. Also, this treaty will strengthen the trade relationship between Nigeria and the European Union, which will further stabilize our sluggish economic growth and development to a steady pace. In a report by Business Insider Africa, dated September 13, 2023, the European Union is Nigeria's most important trading partner, accounting for 20.9% of the Nigerian trade with. In signing this agreement, Nigerian federal government will not these benefits. Moreover, the agreement also focuses on the migration and mobility principles, which will improve conditions in countries of origin, transit, legal migration, and safe return of illegal migrants to their country. This will help us to put an end to the Japa brain syndrome that has caused the life of multiple Nigerians over time. As we all gathered here, I put out a question to everyone. Should Nigeria choose the path of opportunity and progress by signing the EU ACP agreement? This question has been looking forward to. How we should feel of the unknown future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was the second speaker for the proposition. Now we're going to hear from the second speaker for the opposition, from Timberi, the second speaker for the opposition.
So I need your phone. Members of the House. This House believes that the European Union ACP agreement is not beneficial to Nigeria, and therefore Nigeria should not sign it. Members of the House, it's important to note that sight is very good, but insight is better. On this note, our opponent has said that the agreement will offer Nigeria various economic opportunities. But we need to first consider this theory element or these theory considerations that I considered when I was in secondary school. You see, after every session in school, trying to sit me down and we'll check my past academic performance in school. After joining the school, my current academic performance and the impact of the schooling system on me. This is exactly what we have to do in today's debate. This is exactly what we have to do in today's debate. As according to the European Union, Nigeria was part of the former Cotonou Agreement 20 years ago. So to determine whether Nigeria has to continue with the Samoa Agreement, what we need to do is to check Nigerians past the Cotonou Agreement promised to help resolve poverty. So before we choose to continue with the Samoa Agreement, we need to check Nigerians' past poverty rate before joining the Cotonou Agreement. Nigerians' current poverty rate before joining the Cotonou Agreement and the impact of the agreement on Nigeria. Members of the House, according to World Bank, in 2001, Nigerians were poor. So Nigerians were more poor in 2023, according to the World Bank, as 85 million Nigerians were below poverty level, 38.9% of the population. Members of the House, there was Cotonou Agreement promised to help resolve poverty. But in 2001 and 2000, there was poverty. And in 2023, poverty is worse. Members of the House, we are Nigerians. And just like Wole Olanipepunsana said, that the legal industry is not a practicing pitch. It is not Old Trafford. In this situation, the Nigerian economic system is not a practicing pitch. We cannot keep on testing policies that cannot resolve our problems. If policy did not resolve our problems in 2000 to 2023, then why wouldn't we continue? Just like my parents would do to me, to the schools that did, just like how my parents would do for schools that do not impact me and do not improve my academic performance, we leave the school and attend another schools. This is our suggestion today. Nigeria should leave the Samoa Agreement and not join the Samoa Agreement, as the Samoa Agreement has not done anything beneficial to Nigeria. Members of the House, moving forward, according to the European Union, the Samoa Agreement agrees to help resolve human rights issues, democracy, foster democracy, peace and security, human and social development, economic growth, and environmental sustainability. Members of the House, Nigeria has joined treaties already to help ascertain and promote these situations. A critical example is that Nigeria is part of the United Nations, which has 17 sustainable development, and all these that the Samoa Agreement will do is already part of the sustainable development. Members of the House, Nigeria is part of the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which is joined. And all these that this promises to help resolve, and it's already part of treaties that already encompasses these policies. So joining the Samoa Agreement is like... Thank you.
Thank you. That was the second speaker for the opposition, Timberry. To crystallize this round, we are going to hear in 1 minute from two of the speakers, each of the sides, in 1 minute. So, Team Topaz, the floor is yours.
Panel of judges, distinguished viewers, just like my opponent said, sight is very good, but insight is better. The main goal of contention in this debate is the signing and not ratification of the law. Signing the agreement, signing the note agreement, where ratification makes it legally binding, and this is provided for by virtue of Section 12 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which means that even if Nigeria signs the law, it doesn't make it legally binding in any form. Furthermore, the opposition raised the issue that some contents of the Samoa Agreement can make it supersede national law. That is a very big misconception. By virtue of Section 1 of Section 3 of the Nigerian Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any other thing that is in contrast with the provision of the Constitution, it is null and void. This was also seen in the case of Abacha against Fawehimi. Furthermore, the opposition raised the issue of the LGBTQ rights and so on and so forth. Panel of judges must recognize that Nigeria's opposition to LGBTQ is a matter of culture. We always raise the issue of culture. However, culture is dynamic and evolving. That means maybe this is the perfect time for Nigeria to even change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Team Topaz. Let's hear from Tim Beryl. Tim Beryl, in the next 1 minute, let's hear you crystallize this round.
Members of the House, if you want to know a good teacher, check the students they have taught before. If you want to know a good trade agreement, check its previous attempts. Local businesses are suffering. And on the 22nd of February 2022, a study published revealed that similar EU-African trade deals caused a 15% decline in the manufacturing output of the participating countries. Like my opponents have claimed, local businesses suffering. But they also claim that this trade would help us fix the problem, but rather it's going to further exacerbate the situation. In addition, we have to understand that the title of this trade agreement shows that it was primarily designed for small island developing states. Nigeria is by no means a small island developing state. Hence, disagreement should not be considered. Having established that signing this agreement will affect our economy, exacerbate political unrest, instability, among many others, we can see that this is poison for the nation. And like that Nollywood wife, the European Union is concealing it like a plate of our favorite food. Let us not take a bite out of it, because once we do, it will be too late. Thank you.
Thank you. That was um the first speaker for the opposition, Timbero, crystallizing this round. I must congratulate all the teams in this semifinals. You a number of, I know the judges would have opportunity now to give their feedback, and also Barrister Wala. So let me not just say anything now, but I just want to say congratulations to all of you for making it to this round and for putting in your best towards this. Team Sapphire, Team Oins, Team Topaz, Team Burial, thank you for doing reasonable and tremendous justice to the topics of the debate. So at this point, I would open the floor for feedback and comments. Mrs. Joy, Barrister IK, Barrister Wala,
All right.
Barrister Chile. All right.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
The
So
voice
your
here
video
is
is it's on, but we can't see you yet.
okay. Sorry,
So set.
I'm in a place that I don't want to turn on my camera yet. Please, just
Oh,
pardon me.
okay.
All right. I want to lend my voice by congratulating every member of the Team Sapphire, Team Owen, Team Topper, and Team Berlin. Let me start from the last team who just finished their presentation. I want to say that in my let me use my word, and in the remark I've already dropped, it was the legal war. I really enjoyed every segment of the presentation from the opposition and the other side. To Team Topper, I want to say, yeah, you did very great. You did very great. I like your presentation. I like your agility. I just have a bit of, just in case of next time, I think you used a hall. You used a hall that was a bit echoing, and for some of us, it was we had to listen very properly. But that's just by the wayside. But just in case of next time, you could have your camera and your presentation very close and within an area that there will be less of echoing. But your presentation, your arguments, they were all arranged, and I love your style, both from both parties. I love it. Then for the team bearing, for me, marvelous. Like your points were they were so strong, and I for one, I have my opinion on this agreement, but you nearly shift my opinion, but I still hold my opinion. I still hold my opinion on it. Thank you very, very much. I really enjoyed it. And to Team Sapphire, man, what a great way to start this semi-finals. The two presentation, your camera, your dressing. I really, really, really commend you guys for it. Then Team Owen, I think okay, yeah,
Some
yeah.
points, yeah.
Team, I think I really feel you guys came down a bit. I don't know, maybe you did not rehearse your point very well. To me, I felt you're not too confident. Sometimes some of you are looking at your materials. I know it's good to look at it, but not just all staying at it. So you're looking at it most of the time, like you were like reading through it. It was a 5 minute presentation. I felt you could be able to memorize and, if at all, just look at it to just refresh your mind about the point. But still fine. I wish you guys the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister IK, for that feedback. All right. Any other judge? So, okay. You're muted. It says Joy, you're muted.
Okay, it shows that my network is unstable, so I might just turn off my video just so that I don't get frozen at some point for now. Yeah, I mean, I completely align with Barrister Ikechukwu. Very interesting conversations this morning. At some point, I was laughing. At some point, I was smiling. Really, really engaging conversations. And I must commend you all. I think that generally you guys were well spoken. In terms of your communication skills, generally speaking, was good. Generally speaking as well, I think that in terms of your parents, you all had the formal, presentation. So that was superb. So maybe just going more specifically to teams, and I'll do my best not to repeat some of what Barrister Ikechukwu has shared. So Team Sapphire, the first speaker, very calm and composed. You're able to pass your points without exerting a lot of energy, and I really love that. When you were speaking, I thought to myself, wow, she gives me the TV host vibe. It was so good to see. I really enjoyed the flow of the conversation as well, how you took us through your points. I think that was good. I also did see evidence with what you had shared. And for the second speaker as well, there was a level of poise, but I did not see rebuttals at all. And I was wondering what's going on. It looked like you just came with your own points, just ready to tell us your own points, but not as interested in rebutting the points from your counterparts, right? And then to the same points. Your points were concise. I liked how the first speaker started off with telling us, oh, these are her 3 points, and she was just going to take us through that journey. And so it sort of helped manage my expectations because I knew you were just going to share 3 points. I think that you had a lot of time to even further convince us on your 3 points, but you did not utilize your time. So for instance, you spoke on insecurity, and I thought that you would share it in such a way that could catch my heart. Right. So insecurity, people are stealing transformers here and there, right? So that could even be a good example. If they are stealing transformers already, do you want to now put money into solar? What says that we're going to solve that problem? You know what? I think you were just willing to just leave it at the paper level and not bring it down home to us. And so maybe you would have further sold your point that way. I definitely love the angle you brought about the need to sensitize people on solar, right? Even before we start using it. So perhaps with better sensitization on solar, we can, be in a better place to sort of utilize it as a country. So I definitely like that angle. The only part of it I thought that there was another issue was your third point. You said education and health, but you only spoke on education. I didn't hear your point on health, but your quotation was on health. So it didn't necessarily send home anything for me there. Your second speaker as well. I think the second speaker, to an extent, right? I think you put me off your conversation a bit. And that was mostly because of your camera. You would have set, the way you set your camera felt like you were looking down on us. It didn't feel like you were engaging with us. And it wasn't just a very nice way for me to connect with your point. So maybe next time, right, you want to set your camera in, or your phone, if you're using your phone, or I believe you're using your phone. So you want to set it in an upstanding position, and let your eyes connect with us. Because the way it was downward, I wasn't even sure if you were reading off something or you were speaking to us. It was difficult to connect with you that way. And again, I didn't see rebuttals in that round. So this will take me to the next round. I super enjoyed the next round. The second round. The moment I saw Team Topaz with their podium, I'm just like, wow, we're in for some fire. You guys came in ready. I love that you had the podium. It was so good, so creative. Both of you came in with energy, both speakers. There was energy, there was passion in your voice. It was so beautiful. Um, and you did give us an understanding of that agreement, right? And like Barrister Ikechukwu, I had my position on that. Okay, maybe not. Let me not come to that yet. But yes, it was so good. And you already mentioned the issue with the hall. It was echoing a lot. And so you were shouting. And so it was difficult to really connect with your point. At some point, I had to use my phone and bring my phone closer to my ears just to try to pull out your point. So it was difficult for me. Cotton Bell, my goodness. The first speaker gave me the vibe of an amazing public speaker. I love your voice. I love how you use your tone in sending message. I love the way you use your hands to also coordinate the conversation. So I felt like your voice, the tone, your hands took me on a journey, right? So you were connecting stuff, using your hands to say, it was so beautiful. Like everything you were saying was taking me on a journey. Plus how you started out with, getting us to even imagine where you're coming from. I think that was so good. And I definitely enjoyed listening to you. Um, I saw rebuttals in your conversation. Actually, the second round, there were rebuttals, and I love that I saw rebuttals. The second speaker as well, the use of imaginations, has a way of selling, just really appealing to emotions and getting to us, right? Even while you do have evidence, those emotions really, really caught it for me. I loved how you were trying to get us to reflect on the Cotonou Agreement and what has that done for us. And before we jump into this, so comment. I think this is going back to the first thing. In your last minute presentation, right, you said something about that we sign it does not make it legally binding. I don't know how that really convinced me, right? Because when you sign something, it should show a form of commitment. So if we're encouraging signing and not necessarily be binded to it, are we then saying, oh, sign it, but don't be committed to it? So I think it was a bit funny and fuzzy in my head that you would give us that sort of conclusion. But I absolutely love listening to these rounds. And all of the rounds of presentations are actually, you all were super amazing. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Joy. Barrister Chile. Barrister Chile, do you have um, a feedback for the debaters? Okay, while we wait for him, I don't know. Okay, so Mrs. Joy, I would just want to comment on, I think um, that's what he said. You know, this the second round of the debates, the topic is of particular interest to me. It's something I've read and I contributed to a policy piece on it. It should soon be published. So I think the point he was trying to make, that in the legal aspect, it's he said that by virtue of section 12 of the Nigerian constitution, so our Nigerian constitution has a provision that says that before, even after ratifying a treaty, an international treaty outside, before it can be implemented in Nigeria, it must be enacted by the National Assembly. So without that enactment by the National Assembly, the treaty, no matter how beautifully worded it is, would not have the force of law to be applied in our courts. It could at best be a persuasive authority. Okay, I think that was the point he was trying to make. All right. I just had to mention that. So. Barrister Chile. Yeah. Okay. Barrister Chile, do you have something to, do you have a feedback for the debate? Sorry, I had a little issue. I don't know if while I was out there was a contribution.
She had not made a
Okay,
contribution yet.
okay. Barrister Chile, I wouldn't know if I don't know. Is a he actually? Okay, I just got his message. He's trying to reply, but he had an issue with his network. All right, no problem. I'm very sure that we have. I don't want to overflog what the judges has said. They virtually said my mind. They literally said my mind. So I trust that we have noted every point that was made by them for possible improvements, not just in this debate, but maybe subsequently for those that will make it to the finals. You've heard and you've seen the areas that you could improve. So all the very best to the teams. The judges would be sending um their their score sheets and it will be compiled. You would get to know the finals would hold on the 12th of April. That's next Friday. So you would get to know if you made it to the finals before then. All the very best. Have a pleasant weekend. I must appreciate my judges. Thank you so much, Barrister Chile, Barrister Ike, Mrs. Joy. Thank you also to our partner, Barrister Wala, that was here earlier. She had to leave for a meeting. So, and thank you to the teams. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for bringing your A games towards this. As an this is 10 times better than last year. You could just see the improvement, all round improvement in all of the teams. I like the initiatives that we are taking personally to just do something different. Thank you so much. All right. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye.